Behold, the medieval castle, a masterpiece of military engineering, perched on a cliffside, seemingly untouchable. For centuries, these stone giants dominated the landscape, symbols of power and defiance. But how exactly were they designed to withstand a full-blown siege? And what ultimately brought these fortresses to their knees? Let's start with location. The first rule of castle building is to use the terrain to your advantage. A high cliff or a steep hill provides a natural, formidable barrier, forcing any attacker to fight an exhausting uphill battle. But even on flat ground, defenders had tricks up their sleeves. The most iconic of these is the moat. This deep, wide ditch, often filled with water, was the first major obstacle. It stopped heavy siege engines in their tracks and exposed attackers to a relentless barrage of arrows as they struggled to cross. If they did make it across, they'd face the outer curtain wall, a preliminary line of defense designed to absorb the initial assault. The only way through was the gatehouse, or barbican, a heavily fortified entrance with thick wooden doors, iron portcullises, and so-called murder holes above, from which defenders could drop all sorts of unpleasant things on anyone trapped below. Surviving all that only gets you to the main event, the castle walls themselves. These weren't just simple stone barriers. They were incredibly thick, often with a rubble core packed between two layers of solid masonry, capable of absorbing massive impacts. Projecting from the walls were towers and turrets, strategically placed to provide what's called flanking fire. This meant archers could shoot down along the face of the wall, creating overlapping fields of fire where no attacker was safe. This design eliminated blind spots and turned the base of the walls into a deadly killing zone. Of course, attackers had their own ingenious methods. The mighty Trebuchet could hurl massive stones over incredible distances, smashing battlements and terrorizing those inside. Up close, the battering ram, a massive log often covered with a protective roof, would relentlessly pound at the castle gates. To overcome the walls, attackers would roll up huge siege towers, allowing their troops to swarm over the top. Or they might try a more subtle approach, sapping. This involved digging a tunnel, or sap, underneath a section of the wall, propping it up with wooden beams, and then setting the beams on fire. As the supports burned away, the ground would give way, bringing a whole section of the wall crashing down. Even if the enemy breached the outer defenses, the fight was far from over. The castle's interior was a labyrinth designed to confuse and trap invaders. Staircases were a key feature. Most were spiral and built in a clockwise direction. This gave a huge advantage to the right-handed defender coming down the stairs, allowing them to swing their sword freely while forcing the right-handed attacker coming up to fight around the central pillar. And hidden deep within the castle's thick walls were secret passages. These could be used as escape routes for the royal family, or to smuggle in supplies and messengers during a long siege, turning despair into a renewed hope for survival. For hundreds of years, this dance of siege and defense continued, but a new invention would change warfare forever: gunpowder. The raw power of the cannon was unlike anything seen before. Stone walls that had resisted trebuchets for months could be pulverized into rubble in a matter of hours. The age of the castle was over. The once mighty fortress became a relic, its defenses made obsolete by a simple chemical reaction. Today, these ruins stand as silent monuments to a bygone era, whispering stories of epic sieges, brilliant engineering, and the inevitable march of progress that brought an end to the reign of the Stone Kings. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey back in time, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.